In this video, we're going to talk about the major mistakes that can be made and have been made using electrical arcing device. We're making this video in particular very enthusiastic about it because no one else has done it before. The reason is because they have invested interests in order not to talk about that. But the problem is not talking about these potential mistakes that people have made in the past. You don't have the right information there in order to avoid them. Therefore, we're making this type of videos in order for you to learn from other people's mistakes. So also you'll understand why we say to do things in a certain way, and hopefully you'll avoid making this type of mistakes in the first place. So we're going to jump directly into the presentation immediately. So one of the mistakes that we've seen is using the spray technique for skin tightening incorrectly, and we're going to show you a particular example of that later on, and then applying the arc for too long using the spot operation incorrectly for localized skin tightening, which could cause red marks or some minor scarring. Using high intensity treatment for plasma apparated tightening, as we'll say later on, as we'll talk about that in detail later on. This is not a big mistake per se, because things are going to self-rectify in the long run anyway, because of the painy nature of the treatment. So I shouldn't be worried about that, but it's better to avoid them, and we'll show you why shortly. So plasma tattoo removal mistakes, we're not talking a lot about that in this particular video with examples. There is not the pictures that we require, but the thing that you have to take on from this video about tattoo removal is you have to provide aftercare protocol. One of the main problems that the main mistake that we found is the people didn't actually follow the aftercare correctly. They got infections, and then scars developed. And advertise scar-free results for mole removal and benign skin lesions removal. It's not as if scar-free results and seamless results are not possible, because we show you them, the scar-free and seamless results, because this is what you normally get. But it is not always the case that people heal correctly anyway. So people can have difficulty healing, and therefore they can get a minor mark or scar later on. So but the point is to advertise correctly and make sure that people know that there's no guarantee that the results are going to be completely seamless, and they should be happy with a minor mark anyway. But that doesn't happen very often. Is more the exception than the rule. But it's quite important that you tell the full story so people know what to expect, and you can include this in the consent forms, and so people will know. So failing to provide an aftercare protocol. This is the main mistake that we've seen done a number of times in the past. This is why we put an aftercare protocol sheet in public there, not only for our customers but anyone who's using plasma devices, because manufacturers are not providing it, so we do it in advance, so that if other people who have other devices tend to visit our websites to get the information they need, because it's there always 24-hour available, and it's quite useful because we build it according to what the market needs and try to solve a number of problems. So also failing to have a consent form in place, although that doesn't happen very often, sometimes it does happen. In order to avoid headaches and initially, where do I get the consent form and so on, people are not responding quickly, bang, we put it online. It's there on the Aestheitc.com website at the moment, so you can copy and paste, change it the way you like it, the way you feel is more feel to you is more suitable to your business, and use it. Make unrealistic advertising for plasma tightening as blepharoplasty. We're going to make more information on this topic later on, but the essence is that it's unrealistic in many cases to expect blepharoplasty results for eyelid tightening using plasma. It's not because the tightening doesn't occur. It does occur anyway. It happened to me and happened to loads of other people anyway. So the point is, it's not, the results are not always as dramatic as advertised. And if you have a lot of skin to be reduced or cut out or tightened the way you see it, so if you have a lot of loose skin, it doesn't make too much sense to go through the swelling 5 to 6 times in order to try and mimic those results. You might as well go through the one operation, you get the swelling once, because every time you get an eyelid tightening procedure, you do go through swelling, you have to go through downtime and so on. So it makes more sense to people who have loads of skin to take out in order to go for a surgical procedure instead. But what you'll find is that some people, despite that, if you tell them the full story, some people will still prefer to go through eyelid tightening because for some reason they are scared of simple surgical procedures like blepharoplasty. And then, as long as you made the picture clear, then and they've made the correct their decision using the correct information, then you can go ahead. And so that is the main thing. But you should not, in our opinion, confuse the two. If you have a minor skin tightening to perform for people of my age, for example, it makes more sense to go for an eyelid tightening, a number of eyelid tightening procedures, because it wouldn't make sense for me to go through a blepharoplasty, given my age and amount of skin that has got to be tightened. In my case, none at the moment. So then, so in people a certain age group, then you can still suggest it if there's not a lot to remove. To remove it as major, it's not major correction, it's a minor correction. You can do it through eyelid tightening and so on. And advertising the immediate carbonization of the area after eyelid tightening as the after, this is quite, in our opinion, is quite misleading, because what you find, yes, it's true that immediately after, when you have the carbonized spots, the area is contracted, and that's due to dehydration. It's not due to the so-called advertised skin shrinkage caused by the plasma, because when you apply plasma on the skin, you get the dehydration effect, and that causes immediately the skin to contract, and then people advertise that as the after. It's not the after. This is the immediately after, which is going to be completely different to the results after a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks and months down the line, because then that dehydration is going to go away. The skin is going to go through swelling. In many cases, the scabbing and so on, and therefore the area is going to get rehydrated. We have in our videos, we can also show you in our videos, we possibly do it later on, examples where the area is very tightened immediately after, but then as the healing starts, and then after a few days, a week or 2 weeks, yes, the area is tightened, but it's nowhere where it was as tightened as it was immediately after, because that was due to the dehydration effect. So one of the common mistakes is applying the arc for too long, and this can lead to a minor scarring or some marks. This is why we always tell you to apply low-intensity treatments when you start, so you know also by experience, practical experience, what the limits are. And then failing to provide the appropriate aftercare instruction in a written format is very important, because then people forget. If you just tell them, people forget, and they're going to go and look for products to try and mitigate their downtime and so on. They can use the wrong products. They can use makeup and so on, and makeup can lead to the red spots, and marks can last a number of months. Then people will stay in the sun or exposed in the sun, even if you tell them not to, and that can lead to hyperpigmentation. And that is a picture that is a reminder to me in particular never to get comfortable when you perform treatments, because mistakes can happen even to the best, to the ones who've done loads and loads of, carried out loads and loads of treatments, and you don't want that to happen. So always be cautious, even if you have loads of experience. Always be cautious. This is just an example of what can go wrong if you don't get the right knowledge to start with, and you're not disciplined, and you try to get ahead of yourself. We don't have the official story on this, because people don't tend to admit to their mistakes, but it's very likely that we're trying to understand what we're trying to accomplish here. Caucasians have vertical lines in their area, and in this area here, when they due to their normal facial expressions, and this is especially true to Caucasians of North Europe, Eastern Europe, and Russia. Not in my case, for example, I don't seem to have them, or southern part of Europe, we don't seem to have them as much. But in this case, what we're trying to do is just trying to make them as less evident as possible. What you cannot see here is that the person is smiling, because she doesn't see what's coming after the area is healed, so she was still smiling there. And this is the after. The lines are all now fully fledged, deep, atrophic scars. I cannot particularly see a way to get around it now. The only way I could actually see that you could improve is just by cutting it surgically and then sewing it together. I can't see personally another way of correcting this mistake. So this is a very good example of something that can go wrong, and you can avoid these mistakes by, we'll show you the way to avoid them in a second. That's the guy you should watch out for, even if you're very experienced. And that's not a big mistake or a mistake at all. It's kind of a grey area here, because this is the eyelid after a high intensity treatment over a month after the treatment. So it's still red, still healing, and it's not making people very happy, because they do expect instant results. So this is why we're saying avoid high intensity treatments, because the redness still continues after high intensity treatments for a number of weeks and sometimes months, and during the redness you can get some skin laxity as well with it. So this is there is a reason for us to tell you because we've performed loads of treatments, we've followed loads of people throughout their healing process, so we've seen what can go wrong, so to speak, and how you can get things done in a better way and so on. So there is a reason for it. So this is why we're making this video, so you can see the reason behind why we're saying avoid high intensity treatment for upper eyelid tightening. That doesn't apply to skin tightening in other parts of the face anyway. This is me in July 2014, after I had any treatment done. This is me in my right eye in November 2016, just before the third eyelid treatment. So you can see an evident tightening after over 2 years of this. So instead of getting older in that area, getting more laxity as time goes by, is actually getting better. And I felt so much better. I mean, in terms of, I remember before undergoing this, I could still feel my eyelids a bit heavy, but then I couldn't at all. But look at this. This is after the third high intensity treatment. Before I didn't have a high intensity treatment. I had medium intensity treatment, so I didn't actually feel it. But this is after a high intensity treatment, and what we found is that it happens anyway after any treatment using voltaic arcing or plasma, but after low intensity treatments you don't feel it as much. The area still changes over a month, a number of months, but you don't tend to feel it, and I'll explain myself in a second. So this is 3 to 4 weeks after, and you can see that it's a huge difference, but it's worse. But that's the good thing about it, is that that gets better. The area you cannot see that is slightly red, and it feels itchy, a bit uncomfortable. I wouldn't say sore, a bit itchy and slightly uncomfortable, as if something is still going on in there. And then over the months, that was in the treatment was done in November. Over months, then the area became tighter, tighter, tighter. So basically, they tighten. The skin tightening occurs over a number of months. So this is what people don't tell you. It still occurs, and it happens despite the intensity, or even after low and medium intensity treatment. That tightening still takes place. It takes place over a long period of time. And this is why, after over a year after the last eyelid tightening, the area was so tight. And in order to avoid this, just stick to medium intensity treatment. So, what to do to avoid this guy there, the nightmare guy? Take your time to learn. Don't shortcut yourself into treatment, to performing high intensity treatments, into performing treatments. Take your time. There are online materials there for a reason, to give you that experience even before you have these devices. We provide much more content online there for you to use as a reference experience. Don't rush into treatments without reference experience, and build your experience around low intensity treatments. Use all the material that we have online. This should provide you with loads of reference experience, which we're going to provide you more and more, and we're going to provide you more and more, about this more and more content online for you to have even more reference experience to start with over time. And if in doubt, always ask. Always ask. If you're feeling a bit that way about asking your own distributor or the manufacturer who you bought your device from, even if you don't have hours, just ask us. I'll be happy to hear from you and try to help you, not to get information to discredit anyone, because it's not our business. We want to really help people who have plasma devices for aesthetic uses. So if you have these devices, you find yourself a bit stuck, we tend to give you as much information as unbiased as possible about this treatment. So also perform all the exercises, especially on the test meet. The test meet exercise, it seems a bit trivial, but it's not, because that exercise not only helps you produce the electrical arcing, but also gives you a hands-on experience of how powerful these devices, portable devices, are. And that makes you subconsciously careful. And this is why it's very, very important to perform this test exercises on the test meet. It's very, very important. And people charge loads of money just to talk to you through these exercises, and they incorporate them on their physical training. So the live training. So they give you the test meet for an hour or so, and help and have you to play with the device and burn the chicken skin or the steak or whatever. So it's a very easy exercise. We've got the video there, and just go through it. Always use caution. There's no, even if you have loads of experience, you have plenty of qualifications, you've done loads of treatments, always use caution. And that's the end of the presentation. We hope that you found this video useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask us. We're very keen to try and help you. So feel free to give us a call, send us an email, get us on the WhatsApp, on Facebook, Skype. We've got loads of ways that you can contact us, so feel free to get in touch with us. We're only pleased to hear from you, because then we can have a feedback. A number of case studies, a number of videos and web pages have been built as a response to the request of of some customers, not our customers, other people who were using other devices or went to other training sessions that found more information online about these treatments, and then they suggested other topics that we didn't have, but we had all the information on our archive, video archive. So we built these extra videos and information out there, put out there for everybody to enjoy and use in their own business. So many thanks again, and if you have any question, feel free. Thank you very much for watching.